Hello everyone and welcome to the final video for Project Pixar. I am of course always joined by the man who I could not have done this without. Noah, it's so good to see you, and just, before you even say anything, thank you so much for doing this with me, doing these videos. You know, it wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable or fun if I was just sitting here ranting and raving and loving and laughing like a madman. So thank you so much for being here.
And if I wasn't here, I can't imagine how long the Toy Story 4 video would have been. So.
I'd still be talking about it right now. I'd be sitting there with a cigarette like, Part 78, Toy Story 4, flick. So, what's the deal with the girl in the sandbox? You like skunks? This movie's got a skunk for you.
Oh, man. No, it's been an absolute treat and an honor to partake in this journey through Project Pixar, so I wouldn't have done it with anyone else.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Well, it seems appropriate. You know, I kind of told myself I'd never do this just because it seems so hard, because I love some of these films so much, but we got to rank them. We got to, you know.
Do we have to, though?
I mean, no one's holding the gun to our head, we're not getting paid or anything like that, but, you know, thinking about it, it'll be okay. This list isn't the end of the world. You know, it could change. Mine certainly did. You know, there's some stuff that if you'd asked me, 3 years ago, I would have put something else entirely. So, okay, so we're going to get right into it. So there's 23 films. What is your last place film?
My last place film is Cars.
First Cars, okay. Mine is Toy Story 4. No surprise to anybody. And the next for 22, I have, very appropriately, Soul, character in that movie, 22. So 22 is my second to last.
My second to last is Brave.
Awesome. Brave will be my next one. So Brave is number 21 for me.
My 21 is Toy Story 4.
Awesome. So then number 20 itself, for me, it is Cars 3.
The number 20 spot goes to Soul.
Awesome. And then for me, 19 is Cars 2.
19 is also Cars 2 for me.
Ooh, we tied on that one. And then what would be next? So 18, for me, I have The Good Dinosaur.
Same. Good Dinosaur at number 18.
Or Simpatico. Number 17 for me is Cars.
17, I have The Incredibles 2.
Awesome. So 16 for me is Onward.
And 16 for me is Cars 3.
15, I've got Monsters University.
15, I have Onward.
And then 14 is Incredibles 2.
14 is going to be A Bug's Life.
13 is Finding Dory.
13 is going to be Monsters University.
And what are we on, 12? So 12 for me is Toy Story 2.
And I have Finding Dory at my number 12 spot.
So for me, number 11, this is all, like, I'll show the tier list on here. For me, this is all my S rank. This is the top of the top. So for me, number 11 is Ratatouille.
Yep, for me, number 11, actually, I'm in my A rank now. So I went with Up.
Awesome. So that would mean 10 for me is WALL-E. WALL-E cracks the top 10. Number 10 coming in, just right at the bottom.
10 for me is Monsters U. Oh, no. Nope.
It's like
Monsters, Inc.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I mean, they both begin with a vowel, right? It's kind of easy to mix them
up.
Right.
Monsters, Inc. Number 10.
So the number 9 for me is the original Toy Story, the film that started it all.
And I, at number 9, have Toy Story 2.
Very nice. So for me, number 8 is Inside Out.
Number 8 for me is going to be The Incredibles.
And 7 for me is Coco.
7 is going to be Inside Out.
6, and just outside my top 5, is Monsters Incorporated.
Number 6 for me is going to be Finding Nemo.
And now we're in our top 5 here. My number 5 is Up.
My number 5 is the original Toy Story.
For me, number 4 is also Toy Story. This would be the third one, Toy Story 3.
At number 4 is my previous favorite, now at number 4. That is going to be WALL-E.
Definitely got to ask you about that one. So number 3 for me, top 3 Pixar films. Number 3 for me, Finding Nemo.
Number 3 on my list is Coco.
Number 2 for me, I don't like him in real life, but damn do I love him in this movie. It's A Bug's Life.
My number 2 is actually Toy Story 3.
And finally, last but certainly not least, my number 1 Pixar film. If you've watched these, you know what it is. It's The Incredibles.
You cut out there. Were those pigeons?
Yeah.
Pigeons life?
Yep. Yeah. It's God, was that movie with Will Smith and Tom Holland, My Spy?
Spies in Disguise.
Yes, but where he turns into a pigeon. That's surprise. It's the number 1. No, it's The Incredibles. No, what's your number 1?
Okay. My number 1 is Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Good stuff.
Ratatouille.
All right, so we'll have these up here. So, we'll go ahead and start with you because you just gave us such an easy segue. You said WALL-E was your previous favorite. Now you've got it as number 4. What made you drop that one down, or like, why the change?
Well, I watched these, in succession and a number of more times, and having seen them all again, WALL-E is still a hugely personal film for me. I do love it, absolutely. But the film critic side of me does realize there are some flaws in WALL-E that drive it down a little bit. I do feel like there's not a fantastic supporting cast. It gets a little... The dichotomy of the Earth space and that kind of flow isn't quite there. What I did realize that even though I'd watched it once and I was like, oh, I gotta, man, but I feel like I missed something. I gotta watch it again. And I was looking forward to it. Every time was Ratatouille. I was like, I can't wait to watch Ratatouille again. I can't wait to watch Ratatouille again. There's so many great moments. There's such great animation. The atmosphere, the food, the music. It's like a 5-course meal, like just put in front of you, and I can't speak highly enough of it. It just fills my soul with joy.
Would Ratatouille have always been your number 2, or
it was in my top 5,
yeah,
for sure, but because I always knew that I did love it, but just, man, it just rings. There's no false step for me in that movie, really.
Yeah.
Like, and if there is, it's so minor, and I don't care because everything else around it is so good.
Yeah, for me, that was easily The Incredibles. And on my list, I want to say, too, I always kind of make this point anytime I do any kind of ranking like this, which is the arguing point, which is where do I argue with people? If someone puts Toy Story 4 in their top 5 films, I'm going to argue with them about them. For me, and even though it's on the A tier here, for me, it cuts off at Toy Story 2. The films I have from The Incredibles through Toy Story 2, so The Incredibles, Bugs Life, Finding Nemo, Toy Story 3, Up, Monsters Incorporated, Coco, Inside Out, the original Toy Story, WALL-E, Ratatouille, Toy Story 2. If anyone puts those as their favorite Pixar films, you'll never get an argument out of me, because to me, all of those films are their best quality. Like, they're just films that, if they have flaws, they're so minor, they don't really matter. Really, the tough part was putting Toy Story 2 down just a hair. And a lot of these films, too, when I do my tier list, is that some of them, you could ask me tomorrow, and I might switch a couple of them. Like, Incredibles is locked in where it's at. Like, the top 4 are solid, but, like, the 5th spot was tough. It was really between Up and Monsters, Inc., and Coco made such a great case for it, too, because Coco's so good. And, again, I kind of went with Up ultimately for just that emotional, sentimental value I have for that film, but I love Monsters, Inc. so much, too. So, like, those ones... in the future, I could see myself flipping, kind of dependent on the day. I feel pretty locked in on Incredibles, Bugs Life, Nemo. And then beyond that, after Toy Story 2 down, to me, there is... I don't even know how I could define it, but there is definitely like a drop in quality at that point.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, obviously the last spot for you was not in question.
Yeah, that was it. Well, and you know what's funny is, like, without Toy Story 4... rewatching them again, it's funny. So you have the original Cars film last, and in the past, mine would have also been way lower. It actually probably would have been under the second and third films. For whatever reason this time, I don't know if it's where I'm at in my personal life, in my what it is. I liked it better. Like this is probably the most I liked it, and I liked the other two less. So why go watch those Project Pixars, I guess. But yeah, so I was kind of surprised.
Right.
But as I was looking at it, I was just like, Soul is just, there's so many plot holes. You know, Toy Story 4 is an easy cellar dweller. Why do you have the, was Cars always kind of your least favorite Pixar film? So that's a running question for you.
It's never really. I mean, Brave kind of skirts it, but
yeah.
But yeah, Cars is just boring to me for a good chunk of it, and that is like my cardinal sin. Like, you can't be boring.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They always say that what's worse than a bad movie is a movie that's boring. That's not even interesting. Was there anything on your list that gave you a lot of trouble, or you're kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, once I get into my my S tier, like the end of the S tier is kind of difficult. Specifically, Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Inside Out. Mm-hmm. Those three could switch around pretty easily. Yeah, Finding Nemo is definitely one that could bump into my top 5, but I don't know, man. Like, the nostalgia holds me for Toy Story, the personal aspect holds me for WALL-E, the emotional core holds me for Coco, the fact that it was a perfect capper to a trilogy for Toy Story 3, also having probably, like you've mentioned before, probably the best scene in Pixar with the incinerator scene, but Ratatouille, just so good.
I know how much you love that film. It's so interesting looking over these lists, it's cool to see too how they can affect different people, because you and I have, for the most part, pretty similar tastes. We usually like the same kinds of media, and so it's interesting to see these. And again, with tier lists, it's so easy to get like insulted. How dare you put WALL-E above Ratatouille? Ratatouille is not even in my top 10, but if you've watched our Project Pixar, I love that film. I think it's great, but it's stacked against all these other films of greatness, and so I always like to do this visual comparison. So like Toy Story 4 is in the cellar, you can't even see it, and Cars and Onward, like here's Cars and maybe here's Onward, but those S spots, I mean, they're all like this is it. They're just little bitty shifts that I just kind of had to pick. Again, that's why I always kind of use the argument line from the Incredibles to Toy Story 2. So that's my top 12. If anyone put any of those films in their top 12, no beef with me. I would never argue with it. If you put anything below that up there, I'm going to be like, really? Why that one? Why do you like that one so much? Well, and it's interesting, Noah. And I think this kind of holds true for you. Yours looks a little different. For me, it was what I would call their golden age. This is from when they started to what? Toy Story 3 would have been like those years, with the exception of Cars. I have pretty much every film from those years in my top tier Pixar. And the only ones that cracked it outside of those years were Inside Out and Coco. Because I feel like, especially after Toy Story 3 and they went to Cars 2, their quality really started fluctuating.
The only one, because it was never one of my favorites, is A Bug's Life out of their original stuff. Otherwise, I think everything is in my top 10 from their first 10 years or so.
Yeah, not counting Cars, of course, but I don't count Cars either. So
right, without counting Cars. Counting Cars.
Yeah, counting Cars. Yeah, counting Cars on the road.
At this point in time, I'm happy with my assessment. I imagine you are as well. Yeah,
pretty. Were there any, again, that you... I'm trying to think. Cars 2 and Cars 3 was tough for me. Like, where to put... Because, like, when I thought about both of them and having seen them both this time, it was like, well, I'll put Cars 2 as this. It's got Finn McMissile. I'll put this up. Cars 3, so like those two I actually went pretty back and forth on which one I ultimately thought was
and the B tier was a little difficult for me as well. Cars 3 and Incredibles 2 I kind of moved back and forth in my mind a little bit, but I think I just ended up having more of a positive feeling with Cars 3 after I finished it than I did with Incredibles 2. I like the originality of Onward, so I put that in front of that. Monsters, Inc. and Dory kind of moved back and forth in my mind too a little bit. They're both around the same kind of quality. the emotional core of Finding Dory to me is better than the comedy of Monsters University.
Cool. All right, so we got a little lightning round here, some quick fire questions. Who is your favorite villain in Pixar? Or who do you think the best one is? Because for me, it always comes down to two choices, which for me, it's Hopper and Syndrome, but those are my top two films, so perhaps is there one you have that cracks that list? Maybe Lotso, I really liked him.
Lotso's up there. Syndrome is the best.
Yeah.
It really is. Syndrome and Hopper, again. Yeah, Hopper's great. I really do like... De La Cruz is great, too.
Yeah. I like him a lot as well. What was again? So who's your favorite protagonist? Is it still Wall-E or is it somebody else?
I think I'd say it's still Wall-E.
That's fair. I don't know who I want to say Woody because again, Woody is kind of like my, what would you say, Avatar? Like if you were to project me into the Pixar world, but man, Toy Story 4 did him so dirty that like if you don't count Toy Story 4, it's Woody, but if you count that abomination, then I don't know. See, I don't know if I'm like Flick or if I want to be like Flick. Like that, I wish I was as courageous as he is. I don't know if I am. So maybe if I am, maybe it's Flick. But again, I see Flick's courage, and I'm just like, fuck, God, I wish I had that kind of strength and mettle, to stand up to folks like that. Is your favorite score still Ratatouille?
Yes.
So we both have our favorite scores as our top spot.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I wonder.
Coco's very right there.
That's fair. That one almost feels like it's on a different level too because it's actual like songs and music.
It's songs.
As opposed to just
there's actual songs.
Underscoring.
But orchestral score, it would be Ratatouille.
Of course, this isn't the end of Pixar. As of the time of recording this, which is the middle of May here, when we're recording this final video, what's their next one? Is it called Luna?
Luca,
okay. It's called Luca. Yeah, Luna, I think, was a short they had in front of one of
and it's actually the director of Luca, too.
Oh, is it? Okay. That's pretty funny. Yeah. So that'll come out. So I don't know, folks, if we will come back to this or, Pixar gone forever. So we could always do the update, the DLC to Project Pixar, the super chocolatey fudge edition, now including 10% more Luca or whatever. So they'll obviously keep it's interesting. I don't know so here's the thing. No one stays perfect forever, right? All the great TV shows, all the great sitcoms, the books, the writers, when they're on their big run, it can only last so long, right? Noah and I are both huge fans of the Beatles, and they lasted, 10 years? Accomplished an insane amount in those 10 years, but 10 years and they were done. And I don't know if Pixar is ever going to get back to that, to me, again, what was their golden age, where it just seemed like, man, just such great films. Like, Coco gives me hope, but again, I think Coco was their last great film. That was in 2017, so it's, 4 years later? I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do get to see another great gem like that. I hope we're not just relegated to, sequels. I think they've got like a Buzz Lightyear film coming up. God, what's that going to be about after Toy Story 4?
Yeah.
But
it's called Lightyear.
Yeah. So if, I doubt this would ever happen, but on the offhand chance someone from Pixar would ever watch this video, just know that I'm grateful to you as a company and all your employees. I don't put a lot of stock in Hollywood as a person or actors or the industry. I really don't care, I'll be honest. But I have made a point to see every single one of your films in theater because I trust you and I trust your brand. And you're not perfect, of course, but you've given me so many great memories and moments, far more than any of the downsides you've ever had. So thank you for watching this. Thank you, Noah, for, again, taking this journey with me. And I hope, I hope the last film you and I saw together in a theater together was Coco, and I hope that's not the last one. I hope we have another one of these. Maybe if the next one we ever get to see together live, we can do like a reaction shot to it. Hey, we just saw, this is the DLC.
Coco 2.
Yeah, this is, oh. Please, no.
Okay, maybe not Coco.
Dios mío, please, no. Oh, my goodness. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, no, I echo your sentiments. been floored by Pixar ever since I saw Toy Story back in 1996 or 5 or whatever it was. And yeah, just every release, just looking forward to it always, and always excited to see what they've got in the pipeline. Luca looks really interesting, and I hope that one keeps up the tradition of I can't wait to share these films with my daughter. And yeah, so just happy that that they're still around, still doing what they do, even if they do have their missteps, and just looking forward to more years of greatness, hopefully. So
absolutely, folks. That's it for Project Pixar. For anyone who's watched all these, and thank you for watching and along, and your comments and everything else. It's always appreciated. So with that, I am Travis Pfeiffer,
and I'm Noah Price.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.